In this video, we're talking about, is it a good time to get into short-term renting? So stay tuned. Vacation Rental Machine helps hosts just like you learn how to start, grow, and scale your short-term rental business. This show is all about creating systems that help you automate your business, giving you more time and money freedom. If you're ready to start living the vacation rental life, then subscribe to this podcast today. Come and join us on our Facebook group, The Host Nation, where we'll be talking about starting, automating, and scaling a short-term rental business. Now, on to the show. Hey, welcome back, Host Nation, to another episode of Vacation Rental Machine. I'm Julian Sage with John Bell, and we are talking about, is it a good time during this pandemic to get into short-term renting? So we all know that right now there's a lot of fear, and like our good friend, Mr. Warren Buffett says, is that you get greedy when others are fearful. So is this a good time for us to start getting into short-term renting when everybody else is fearful? They're dropping units. They're saying rental arbitrage is dead. Co-hosting, you can't make any money. Is now the perfect time to start a short-term rental business? What are your thoughts, John?
Absolutely. I mean, this is so exciting. This whole thing has really created a new endpoint for everybody to jump in. Literally, if you didn't see the signs before, they are playing in front of you right now. When people are fearful, they are going to scurry and run away from anything that they wanted to do. Why? Because everybody has heard, I can do Airbnb and make a lot of money. And that's why they wanted to jump in. Now, they say there's no money there. So they don't even want to jump in. That is already 80% of your competition. 80% of your competition just said, I don't even want to compete. So now it's really the 20% that is really still considering jumping in. And this is still ripe, right? We all know there's a curve that anything goes through, and maybe you don't want to start at the bottom, but you want to kind of catch it before it reaches its top. Just like any stock, right? What's going on with the stock market right now? Everything has gone down, right? So everything's gone down, but what is it going to do eventually? It's going to start ticking back up. And if you don't know how to make those plays, when to make money going down, okay, well, everybody knows how to make money going up. It's just you got to get the right endpoint. Don't buy Amazon when it's above $1,200. You want to buy it when it's $800, and then it's going to go right back up to $1,200. That's the type of opportunity that we're talking about right now within short-term rentals and listing things on Airbnb, booking.com, VRBO, all of that stuff. Right now is the time to really jump in.
You know, I think Brian Chesky brought up a really good point when he did his last webinar, saying that, Airbnb came out during 2008, during the recession, because people were trying to save money. People at that point, they weren't thinking, how can I make a bunch of money, listing my place and putting it on Airbnb? People were just thinking, how can I use this tool to be able to make more money? And right now, for myself, I list a basement unit, and that was able to cover my mortgage. Right now during this time, it's not really covering that much. If I do get someone in there for a long term, it's able to, bring in some really good money. I think being conservative, being smart about how you're moving forward, how we're picking up units, is really going to be key, and where those specific locations are. Like you said, John, so many people are really fearful right now. They're saying there's no money there. There's nothing there. I mean, people are still traveling, though. People are still going to need places to go. In the mind of a civilian, or in the mind of a regular traveler, I mean, they don't know what's happening behind the scenes. They don't know that all these hosts are probably super angry and, just saying, I quit. This isn't worth it. Rental arbitrage is dead. Airbnb is dead. I'm not listing anymore. I'm going to go get my regular W-2 job or whatever it is. They don't see that. And we don't see what's on the traveler's side, because we're so focused on what's behind the scenes. But for them, they're still going to need places to stay. They're still going to want to go to all these locations. And that just makes our job a little bit easier.
Yeah. I mean, let's think about what happens once this whole thing blows over. If you already had your units ready to go and you already started having maybe 5 reviews on your listing, you have instant credibility for when people want to start to travel again. If you don't have anything after this whole thing, then you really have to get it. You have to go out and get it. You got to set it up. You got to get it listed. You got to get some people in to give you some clout. And once you do all that, then you're ready. But everybody else is really capitalized on a bunch of different things. Let's talk about financing right now. It's really low, right? I mean, interest rates are really low. Right now, landlord going to be in a pickle. So they might even give you a great deal to jump in. So you have the best of both worlds. You got money and you have like specials that might mean 2 months free, 3 months free, just as the car dealers are doing right now. We all seen the commercials. Hey, no payments for 90 days. That might extend to 120 days. That stuff can get mimicked in our industry just because they want people to come in that can come and pay. And you're talking about multiple places, even places that might have denied you entry before might say now, you know what? If you can come in and take a couple, I would gladly give them to you. So yes, this is a very good time to take advantage of everyone's fears. Fears of the people wanting to get into Airbnb and short-term rentals, and fears of the landlords that people are just not going to be renting right now. So you can capitalize on all of it.
One of the big things is that, it takes a lot of effort to get the ball rolling, to get your listing, to find the landlord, to get it furnished, to get the lease signed, to get all of your back end systems in place, to get those initial reviews. I mean, there's a good amount of work. This isn't a do nothing, make money business. We've been covering this stuff for over a year now, just talking about all the different things that you can do within this business on the podcast. But it's getting that ball rolling. And once the ball starts rolling, I mean, John can attest to it. Our businesses can attest to it, that when things start moving, they start moving really quick, because it just works. That people need places to stay. And if you know how to provide really well serviced accommodations, then people are going to want to stay with you, and they're going to pay out of their pocket for that. It's, that's where really the do nothing, make money comes in, is that once you have it going, it really just starts feeding itself.
Exactly. So like, let's play this scenario. Maybe I go out and I get my first property and it looks like I survived all the way through the pandemic, right? You'll have people that have already had units looking for somebody experienced to come out and support them or list their property or manage it for them. So now you have another avenue that you can speak to. Hey, I went through this. I made this happen. I did these things to make sure that I could stay afloat. And now that it's all over, I still have those practices in my pocket. So if it ever happens again, I know how to get it filled. We all can take advantage of this time, and we should. I know I will.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of one of those war stories that you get to put in your back pocket now. Everybody that's been through the 2008 or 2001, they always talk about, back in my day, back in 2008 when I was during that last recession, and people look at that as a credibility. If you were able to withstand that, if you were able to, even just scrape by and not go under, and you didn't fold your hand. People look at that as like, okay, you toughed it out. I think, anybody that's in this space right now that is going to be able to just kind of tough it out. We're not saying to, put your family at risk. We're not saying to over leverage yourself. There are options out there where, you can, take a large line of credit, pick up a bunch of units and overextend yourself. Well, we're not saying that. We think that you should do everything within your comfort. But if you are trying to do this for the long, and you are trying to make this a business, as we are on the show, I think that this is really just kind of a blessing in the end.
Yeah, I think you said it right. I mean, we got to be conservative during this time. Even lions sneak up on their prey to get really close before they explode and start to jump after them. So we just need to poise, get ourselves in the right position. So once this is over, maybe we are ready to instantly pick up multiple units, and then we're still ahead of our competition because we started with this one. Now we got the funding. We're ready to do more, and we can keep it going that way.
And I think during times like this, some of the most creative ways of, really true entrepreneurship really starts to shine during this time. Even you and I, John, we're coming up and thinking of different ways that we can pivot the business moving forward, something that has longevity, something that will stand the test of time. And I think a lot of people are also changing their mindset, changing their thinking. We've seen a lot of people, a lot of hosts, and, I've gotten some messages about it, talking about, hey, Julian, you look like you're taking a beating. Looks like you're taking maybe the negative approach, because there really is two fields to this. You can either look at everything in a very positive light and be optimistic and say, there's a lot of potential. And I think that we can really, turn these lemons into lemonade. Or you're with the other, what seems like the larger majority of hosts. They definitely have a louder voice during this. And those are the people that are very negative, pessimistic, and really not hopeful for, during that whole time that we were very profitable, very good. Right now, it seems like everybody has a very almost like cynical view on short-term renting as a whole almost.
Yeah. You mentioned something just a comment ago, right? So remember when the housing market crashed and then it kind of came back and now it's way higher now. And everybody said, well, if I would have known, I would have jumped in then. That way I could capitalize on now. Well, again, I'm telling you that this is one of those opportunities right now that you need to jump in so you can capitalize on the later. But we all thought about all of these things in hindsight. Oh, my mentor said he bought a house for $10,000. It was one of the worst properties that he ever purchased, never even visited himself. Now the property's worth 1.4 million, is the only house that's left after they revitalize the entire area. So that's a great investment, right? He got in. He's seen something that nobody else seen. I'm telling you guys, I see it. You got to see it. If you don't jump in, you can catch us a little bit later. But it's very, very, very important you acknowledge the signs that, hey, fear makes money. Anytime investors or people start talking about, hey, there's fear in the market, trust me, they're not pulling their money out. They're putting more money in. Right now, I'm dumping money into the stock market just because, hey, it's all down. I'm dumping it in places where I would probably never really want to put it. But because I know it's going to go right back up, I'm going to capitalize on that too. And this is the right time.
Right. And we're not saying that, out of this, it's going to be, pedal to the metal and we're just going to start, bookings are just going to start flowing in, everything's going to be really good. There might come, John's putting money into the stock market. It might dip down even further. It might drop even more. That's a very real thing. But as we've seen history show, the stock market's always going up. As we've seen history show, travel is going up. Millennials are, more inclined to want to book. Airbnb, everybody's saying they're doing these publicity stunts. Well, they are really good at publicity. They're good at marketing, and they're good at getting in front of people and really converting people into, Airbnbers, Airbnb stays. So we're all going up. It just depends on which point, in this trend are you going to be entering.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but this is definitely something you should acknowledge. You shouldn't jump in and try to get 20 units to start out with. We're not saying that, but you should at least put the gas in the car, open the door, turn the ignition on, and at least start down the road. So as you start down the road, you are in front of everybody else who's staying at home. That's what we're saying. So don't go crazy, but be ready. Set yourself up for success. And that's what this is about.
And during this time, we do have a program that is available, the VRM Formula program, that you can, put that gas in the car, get yourself primed and ready for when this really kicks off. We plan on growing and scaling our business, even right now during this time, and having that training. Or you can go back and listen to the nearly 1 year of podcast episodes that John and I have been putting together on the VRM podcast. So if you do want to shortcut your way, get everything, all the contracts and tools that we do have, you can definitely use the VRM Formula program or use the VRM podcast. But we are excited. We are hopeful. This is an exciting time, an exciting space that we think is just going to keep on going up. So with that being said, question of the day, where do you see short-term renting? Are you in? Are you out? Do you think that it is the end of short-term renting? Is right now the best time? Leave your comments or thoughts in the comment section down below. And until next time, Host Nation, keep on hosting. If you'd like John and I to answer your guys' questions, then be sure to go to the Host Nation Facebook group and use hashtag AskVRM. Hope you hosts found value in this episode. If you did, please go on over to iTunes and leave us a review, as that would greatly support the show. If you'd like to connect with John, the community, and I, then go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation. Talk to you hosts in the next episode. Keep on hosting.